Bobby, this is the Hit King, Pete Rose. Helen asked me to call you and tell you happy birthday. They tell me that you are a wonderful person, so I want you to take the day off and relax. Eat some pizza, watch some Major League Baseball, and spend some time with friends and family in Kentucky. But most importantly, I just want you to enjoy your day. Go Reds!
Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, make you wanna holler, hidey-ho. Burns your tummy, don't you know? Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug.
All right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We're at the Latin American Club.
How come it took us so long to get to Latin?
It's crazy. Well, what is it? It's corner 22nd and Valencia, roughly?
22nd in Valencia.
And about as an old standard of a standard as you're going to find in the Mission.
It's about as old Mission as you can get.
Yeah, totally. One of the all-time greats. And it's changed so little. But, the area around it's changed so much. But they still...
Yeah, it's still the same.
They've hung tight to their tiled floors and knick-knackery hanging from the ceiling.
Knick-knackery. Yeah, they've got a bunch of pinatas, like, hanging from the ceiling.
True.
But they look really old. And
yeah, some of them are
kind of, like,
borderline
apart.
Frightening. Yeah, exactly. Like, you wonder if, like, the candy that, like, was once inside of them is now, like...
Oh, I hope to God there's no candy inside there.
It's like... It's all like made out of asbestos and like
Jesus. But yeah, this is a Mission staple bar. You know, this used to be the place you just go to at the end of the night.
Yeah, I always felt like before we came here, we'd have to get like either a guest or a friend of ours that like we spent like 25, 30 evenings or whatever like that getting shit-faced with here because like it seems like that'd be only fair, but we do have a guest.
We do have a guest today,
but it isn't any of our boring friends.
It was that was a perfect description of him. I'm sure he's been here hundreds of times.
Oh, easy, yeah. And
I guess we'll tease that, and we'll have a special guest come on.
Stay tuned.
So the Latin American Club. I once had a friend in town, and she was in town from Boulder. And she was like, I'm going to go to this place I heard of called the Latin American Club. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's great. Go down there. And then I met up with her out later that night, and I was like, so how'd you like the Latin? She's like, I didn't really like it. I was like, really? It's such a good bar. Why? She's like, there's no one speaking Spanish there. She's like, there's no Latin Americans there. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a little confusing like that.
Yeah, like and it's funny. Like I did a little bit of like Yelp research before we came here. Like and it's as usual. Like we have to read like the shittiest reviews first or only.
Well, why does anyone read like the mediocre reviews on Yelp?
Yeah, what's the point?
Like, you either read like the 4-star reviews or the 1-star reviews.
A lot of the 1-star reviews were that sort of problem where people would be like. I came here to see some Latin American people and get a taste of their culture. Instead, I got verbally abused and given a margarita that'll kill an elephant.
I hate when these Yelp reviewers, they take their review so seriously. Like, I would have given it 3 stars, but this happened. So it only gets 2 stars. Hey, no one's reading your review anyway.
Well, I was just looking around, actually, because one of the reviews was talking about how they looked around and like one of the tchotchkes hanging off the ceiling or whatever like that was a noose. And they were like, how can a bar called the Latin American Club have such a symbol of hatred hanging from its like... I've never seen a noose in here, by the way.
Yeah,
I still can't see one now.
I'm looking around right now. I can't... Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. But even still, like this guy freaked out and it wasn't that there was a noose in the bar. It was there was a noose besmirching the good name of Latin Americans, I think. Because that was a specific problem he seemed to have, was that you took this bar named after a proud race and put a noose in it.
It just seems like such a bad argument. Like, I mean,
well,
there's
it's like you walk in, automatically this isn't a boys' club or something like that. It's like
so many things wrong in this world. Like, you're going to get mad about some random tchotchke behind a bar. It's like,
right.
A alligator with a cowboy hat on. That doesn't make any sense. One star.
1 star, exactly. Yeah, and that's my favorite Yelp reviews are ones that like have absolutely nothing to do with the bar itself. Like where it's just I went on a really bad date there. It's like that's not our fucking problem.
I would have given it 3 stars, but my friend was late.
It's like, wait a minute. Like there was a car accident 2 blocks away that we had to listen to.
Yeah, but the Latin's been here forever. It's they used to have a pool table in here, but they took that out. And
yeah, actually, I thought that it was kind of charming back in the day to have like to shove a pool table in the middle of this place, but like I think eventually it just got way too crowded for it, and it never fit to begin with.
It's not a big bar. It's
No.
just and a pool table just takes up so much space.
Yeah.
So I've been here many nights where like people are like bumping into people, and people are like starting fights. Because
I wonder if they like noticed like when they took the pool table out that like 99% of the fights stopped in this bar. Where it's like suddenly we're not hitting each other with pool sticks. We're all getting along fine.
I used to come here in the mid '90s.
This is the 1890s.
The
1990s.
1990s.
Okay, all right.
And there was my favorite patron here was the Red Man. Do you remember the Red Man?
Definitely, yeah. Like I wasn't sure if we'd spend a whole segment talking about him or what, but yeah, like probably easily one of I'd put him on the top 10, maybe even Mount Rushmore of like San Francisco Mission District eccentrics over the last 20, 30 years.
San Francisco Mount Rushmore would be like him, Frank Chu,
Swan, maybe.
Swan, yeah, probably Swan. And there's room for one more. So if you're mentally ill out there, you could, and you really apply yourself.
We would push for Terrible Tim the Wino, but he's not as well known.
Yeah, it's true. Terrible Tim.
Unfortunately, yeah, he kind of peaked. He peaked too early. He didn't really have the financial backing that he needed to become a big celebrity.
Anyway, so the Red Man was this guy who would come here and he would he would dress in all red,
right?
And then paint himself red.
Well, and he had sort of like almost like a Salvador Dali kind of like mustache, like
yeah. Well, I think that was painted on too.
Probably, but yeah, so he was like completely in red from head to toe, and yeah, just like a walking art project basically, like.
And he would just like you try to talk to him, and you could tell there was.
He started out to lunch.
Yeah, he was kind of out to lunch, or either that or he fried a neuron somewhere along the way.
Either that or he was just like such a committed artist that he was like, you don't deserve to talk to me. Like this is you don't walk up to the Mona Lisa and start talking to it, do you?
Well, you would try to talk to him, and he'd be like, one-man movie race. You're just like, oh, great.
It's like, well, that's very helpful, actually. I asked you to string together a sentence with the words movie and man and race.
One-man movie race. And he would yell at people, too, sometimes.
But that was all part of his charm.
It was all part of his charm. In fact, one of our friends went as him for Halloween once.
Yeah,
and
remember that.
I was like, oh, that's a great costume. And, like, towards the end of the night, he's like, I have to take this off. It's getting too real. I'm like, what?
Once, like, paint starts running into your eyes and, like...
Well, people were saying that having all that, like, paint, and I don't know if it was, like, real, like, body paint that you're...
Well, yeah, I read somewhere that, like, that's what killed him, actually, was, like some sort of liver poisoning from, like, paint all over your body. Which, like...
the way he lived.
Yeah, exactly. That's, like, that's commitment to your art. Like, he fucking walked the walk and, like, talked the talk as far as being painted red goes.
He's like, I'm not the half red man. I'm the red man.
Exactly. Go find you don't find the old the people that make it to age 60. They're all fakes.
Speaking of eccentrics, Andrew, have you given yourself over to our Lord and Savior Slender Man?
I have not. I have a very tenuous grip on what Slender Man even is. Like I know that like two wackadoodle girls like stab their friend to death because of a meme, and and that's always a great like sentence to hear for the future of the world is like meme causes murder or whatever.
Okay, well, first off, the girl they stabbed didn't die.
Oh, she didn't. Oh, well, good. Then why are we even talking about
this?
These
two 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin decided they wanted to curry the favor of this internet meme boogeyman called Slender Man, who is a very tall guy who lives in the forest, and he tries to get kids to come into the forest and live with him.
Well, I mean, story as old as time, right?
So what better way to impress Slender Man than to stab your friend at a sleepover 19 times?
I mean, history is littered with examples of where that's been a good idea, to stab your friend
I
when
wonder
you're 12 years old.
if they were like, okay, so Slender Man should be here any minute now since we stabbed her. to take us to the forest to live.
Right. Like,
And
let's
then
get
like they
cleaned
just
up.
didn't show up, and they're just like, what the hell?
Like, cops knocked on the door. Oh my God, there's Slenderman.
Or I wonder if they're like now they're in custody, and they're like, if only we had gone through with it and killed her, Slenderman would have showed up.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be, instead of waiting for a call from the governor, they'll be waiting for a call from Slenderman. I think you slipped in Slenderman there, which is like the
Slenderman?
Yeah, that's like his Jewish accountant. I think it's like Mr. Slenderman.
I believe Slenderman lives in the forest next to his neighbor is Bulimia Man.
Spider-Man, Boogeyman.
Yeah, he's basically like a boogeyman, and
Right.
he's like this very tall guy, and sometimes he's drawn with tentacles and
Well, okay.
coming out of his back. But
Well,
he's always
did somebody take a look at it and be like, throw some tentacles on there, and then I'll follow you into the forest? How's that?
He just looks like a tall guy in a suit.
It's boring. Ooh, tentacles. Now you got my attention.
Yeah, so we should have some Slenderman on the show sometime.
We will. We just have to go into the forest and find him. And, like, if we happen to kill each other in the process of trying to summon him, I guess that's the way it works.
Do what we gotta do.
Yeah. But, yeah, this place has been here for goddamn ever.
I'm not done with Slenderman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm putting out the Slenderman diet.
No one would follow Chubby Man into the forest.
You want to look good for these kids or not? You got to stay in shape.
And Love Handelsman did not take off with the kids.
And I was doing a little research on Slenderman, and come to find out, it's been trademarked by someone.
What? He's like,
What?
I've got a spec script.
Right, exactly.
Slenderman.
I am the most evil person in the world, but this is a copyright.
I have a first look deal with NBC.
I will take your children and option the film rights to your screenplay.
Jay Moore will need to be attached as executive producer.
I heard David Fincher is attached.
Slenderman.
All right, now we can talk about the bar.
You lovable scamp. Slenderman.
I think Slenderman would like this bar because it's got very high ceilings.
It does. Yes, he would. I mean, he might have to duck into the doorway, but yeah, you know what? Like, strangely enough, the layout of this bar is like a smaller version of the Kilowatt, where it almost looks like it could have been like a garage at one point.
Yeah,
well, the opening is like, it totally looks like there was.
Yeah, it
a
looks
big
like
garage
it was a
door
garage
there at
at one point.
Yeah.
And they slapped a bar in here.
They said, no more cars, drunk people.
Get that slender fellow out.
That's right. Let's make a place that Slenderman will want to come to.
Why can't he be Slender Gentleman?
Right. You think if they were trying to appeal to the kids, they call him like Slender Dude or something. They're like,
Oh, dude, speaking of dude,
right.
Right before this, I was watching first off, I was channel surfing.
Okay.
And I realized that on one channel is the Senior Golf Open, which, oh my God, like, if you really want to watch old people do something you hate, and then they televise it.
Right.
So, and then the very next channel is the X Games. So it's like Senior Open, and then kids like flipping over backwards on a skateboard.
Basically nothing for ages like 15 to 85 to watch.
And one of the things that and I noticed this last time during the X Games, is the big sponsor of the X Games.
Yeah.
Is the U.S. Navy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because their slogans are everywhere, and their ads are everywhere, and I was just like, it's kind of a weird target audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they've always sort of tried to do that, haven't they? Where like they're like, hey, do you like to surf? Well, come join the Navy. Like, you might get to surf once on one of your off days in 5 years when you're not scrubbing barnacles off a boat. But
is there any kid watching the X Games stoned out of his mind and going, you know what I should do?
Like, that guy gets to surf, and I want to go near the water, and the Navy's got to go near the water.
I just assume it just wouldn't work. Like, the recruitment does not go up for their sponsorship of the X Games. But I don't know. Maybe it does.
It's like maybe like a marijuana dispensary. That's more of a target demo, right?
Maybe in 20 years, some guy will be like, "Hey, it looks like we have another Somali pirate situation on our hands, brah." He's like, those guys are dicks.
So speaking of meaningless sporting events for boring old people, did you watch the final leg of the Triple Crown yesterday?
Yes, I did. And I was very into it, except because I really wanted to see California Chrome, pull it off.
Right.
I don't know why I give a shit. It's like, it hasn't happened since 1978. I'm like,
so what? Like,
since when did I start caring about this?
Right, exactly. Halley's Comet hasn't either, but I don't give a shit.
Do I have to go another fucking year without seeing a Triple Crown winner?
Exactly. It's like, when will my life get meaning? and I'll get to witness a Triple Crown winner when I'm not 8 years old.
So I was kind of into it yesterday when they ran the race.
Right.
And right on schedule, I woke up this morning and turned on the TV, and there was Real Sports with Brian Gumball.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
And one of the guys did this piece on horse racing, and it is fucking brutal. Like, I don't think I ever want to watch horse racing again. It's like, these guys are all scumbags. And, this year, it's like, it was a beautiful story. The two guys that bought California Chrome, or they bought them.
Yeah, like, they seem to be like at least lesser of the scumbags that normally win the sport.
Right, but they were saying it's like that pageantry of those 3 Triple Crown races, that is like how they want to portray it. But like the day-to-day, like racing in like tracks in the middle of nowhere, it's like it's so much animal abuse.
Yeah.
Like you say something like 24 horses a week or a month have to get put down.
Jesus Christ.
And a lot of them like collapse on the track from heart attacks because they've been pumped up full of drugs.
Right. Well, I remember, even the Belmont Stakes yesterday, coming around the final turn, you could tell that California Chrome was kind of slipping and wasn't in the top 3. And that jockey was beating the fuck out of it, and it was borderline uncomfortable. You're just kind of like, yeah. Again,
that's you know what you saw there is like nothing compared.
Oh, exactly.
To
I'm
the
sure
shit
that this is out in the open. Who knows what the fuck they're doing with them in training and all that shit.
They were interviewing this veterinarian who quit because she diagnosed this one horse with a stress fracture, and she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna pump this horse full of drugs and send it out there.
Right.
And they're like, they fired her, and they found someone who would. And they were saying that one of the...
They're like, now that Michael Jackson's dead, do you think it's hard to find veterinarians that
who's that
totally unscrupulous?
Who was that Jamaican doctor? Now he's on racetracks.
He's in real life Dr. Nick. He just shows up wherever he's needed. Hi everybody, I'll inject your horse.
Well, it's like that show Luck that was a Michael Mann show for HBO.
Oh yeah,
they stopped production because I think 2 horses died during the shooting.
Probably all the horse racing experts are
yeah,
exactly. That's a pretty good record.
If you the more you look into horse racing, it's that happens all the time.
Right.
And man, it's really brutal, man. I could see in 20 years where it's we're not having horse racing anymore.
None of that shit makes any sense. Just so much of that, the quote unquote pageantry around that sport is just white trash people putting on hats. Who cares?
That's true. One of the things they were saying that there's this really dangerous point that a horse can make where if a horse isn't that good and kind of starts to overachieve, and then he gets into a race where the purse is really high.
Yeah.
The purse is worth more than the horse is worth. So what these scumbag owners will do is just shoot him up with as much shit as possible. Because if the horse dies, who cares, right?
Right.
And if he wins, we get all the money. It's
Jesus
so
Christ.
fucking terrible.
It's hey, we got this stuff that we whipped up in the back a couple minutes ago by combining kitty litter and trucker speed. Let's give him that.
Give him some bumblebees in his nose.
No, not actual bath salts. You're killing that horse.
In Massachusetts, they recently outlawed dog racing because it was just totally inhumane. Same fucking shit.
Right.
And you would not believe the people where I'm from who are like, can you believe the government stepped in and they're like, these are these people's livelihoods. That's what they do. I'm like, yeah.
A lot of people did a lot of shitty things for a lot of years. And like,
If you make your money off of misery,
right.
I'm sorry, you have to do something else.
Right. It's like, man, like they shut down the mustard gas factory. My dad worked
Right,
there.
exactly. I'm sure there's some dude who's like, my family used to make the whips back in the slavery days, and now we're out of business.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, you
Where's
gotta
our
find something else.
Where's our bailout, Obama? What?
It's like, yeah. So I don't know. I totally did a complete 180 from yesterday to today. Like,
Yeah.
the more you like look into horse racing, the more you're just like, if everything goes well, fine.
Right.
But like in this like real sports thing, they showed you some of the when a horse goes down on the track, he takes like 2 other horses with him, and it's like then there's got like jockeys like tumbling in there, and these are massive beasts.
Right.
And it's just like I couldn't watch it. I had to like just like I couldn't watch the screen. I just had to listen to them.
It seems like, I mean, I don't know anything about horse racing, but like, doesn't it seem like, I mean, like jockey seems like a bullshit like type of athlete, because it's like basically like they just their job is to weigh as little as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you could put their head in a jar, like a plastic jar, even better. Like that would be the best jockey in the world.
You would think that there would be more amputee jockeys.
Exactly, or like the guy from what was that Metallica song One, where the guy's like got no arms and legs. It's like put him on a horse.
It's like and belt him to the horse.
That's right, just strap him to his side.
It is weird when you see like jockeys like I gotta stay in shape. It's just like no, you just gotta not eat. Like I saw there was something on this morning about they're profiling some NASCAR driver and like
Sweet.
all of his training regimen. Like what are you training regimen? Like what are you like? How hard is it to like press down on the gas?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does he like have to sit in the car with his trainer, and like anytime he tries to make a right turn, he's like, no, like no right turns.
All right, you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, we'll have to come back and talk about something that is fun because I feel like
That's right.
like,
Dead horses, Slender Man.
How's the horse racing? Yeah, everybody dies. How about Slender Man? Yeah.
Out of the gate, happy as usual.
All right, this is SFBarkast, and we'll be back from the Latin American Club.
I can't live! You don't know! You don't know! Oh God! Oh God!
All right, and we are back. This is the Slender Man Variety Hour.
Well, don't forget horse racing, awful,
Right.
shooting horses spectacular, whatever.
Let's
we're
bring
gonna
in
call
our
it.
special guest, Parker Gibbs. Parker, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we just did a segment already where we talked about horse racing and Slender Man. Do you have any opinions on either of those?
I think they go well together. I don't know when this is going to air, but I have a prediction that California Chrome is going to finish 5th
Holy
in the
shit!
Belmont Stakes. So
That's a pretty bold.
is it the Belmont or the Preakness? What did we just run?
the
What are they getting ready to run? I mean,
the Belmont.
Oops. No, thank you for having me on the Barkast. I mean, I'm not even a big guy. I'm not even into dogs or anything, but I do have some opinions about them.
Right out of the gate with a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
We okay, so
A play on
Parker,
words, if you will.
You picked this bar, so you like this bar.
Yeah, this bar is kind of, near and dear to my heart. This bar, this is one of the first places when I started coming to the Mission, 21 years ago. That was one of the first. It's when Whitey started Takeover. It's one of the first. No, but it always had a really. They always kept the flavor of it. Like this. When this place, it's always been the Latin American Club, but it had a lower ceiling. And I remember driving by, like kind of like you'd come to the Mission on some nights when like you would be. Because back then most of us spent all our time up in the Haight or like in other more established neighborhoods. I mean, this was kind of like the Wild West. I think this place was called Stabby's originally, because I mean, every time you drive by, there'd be like fucking ambulances and just there'd be chaos. And we'd always look at it, and the ceiling was super low, and it was always packed with like Latino dudes, and it just looked like a really aggressive, scary place.
Do you remember back then?
Yeah,
Did you used to come there?
Yeah,
Here?
absolutely. Yeah, we would come down to just to try to find new places, like try to be You know, we're not afraid of going, edgy. We're not afraid of going into the mission. I mean, the first place I remember ever finding was Los Panchos. Well, you know Los Panchos restaurant? It's a restaurant that serves pupusas, but it's way the hell out there. It's like we're at Mission in Valencia. So like we'd go to the I-Beam and then go there because they serve food till 3 in the morning. And then little by little we started exploring more and more, you know, Mission bars that, you know, weren't really friendly to white people, but they just were great drinking bars.
You like established like the white guy beachhead in the Mission, and now look what has happened.
This is the first line of Normandy, buddy. No, Martin,
you have wrought.
The two people who were responsible for the Mission, the props have to go to Don Allen, who owns the Casanova, and he had Radio Valencia originally.
Okay.
But Martin Rapolsky, who bought this place, and he bought the Makeout Room. And Martin bought this place. They just celebrated the 21-year anniversary of this bar.
Wow.
So so Marty could see what was the changing. Marty's always lived in the Mission. He could see the kind of changing thing of it.
Wasn't there another guy named Dietrich who was involved?
Dietrich's Martin's cousin. He used to be part of the old regime. And they had another guy named Mike Chesney who was part of the old regime. And
Mikey?
And then Marty, you know, through
You're just like throwing out names at the point. Joey, Mike.
Yeah.
No,
There was Tree Frog. There was Ray Ray.
there was that guy that called me Bill.
Charlie Bag of Beef.
We already talked about the Red Man.
Oh, you did?
But he was a regular here.
The Red Man, he came here quite a bit. Yeah, Rojo.
Well, that was his name, right?
Yeah, Rojo. Yeah, I mean, well, Prince Charm was his real name. Well, I mean, that's what he went by, Prince Charm, but everybody called him Rojo.
Right.
And he used to, you know, everybody thought he was just a completely crazy guy, but like he would come in and there's artwork over the corners that they still have. Or I think he's taken a lot of it down, but he used to write these kind of random sayings on pieces of paper and he'd shove them in those mailboxes. So you'd come in and there'd just be some, you know, crazy thing, but this beautiful like calligraphy, handwriting kind of stuff. And Marty had this. There was one point where Marty had a huge art installation of all the stuff that he'd written. And like I talked to him one night, and I thought the guy was completely nuts because I'd see him walking down the street like on Valencia, kind of talking to himself and shit. And like one day, you know, I was walking by him. I'm like, oh God, you know, there he is. You know, he's just walking by in the middle of talking to himself. He goes, "Hey Parker," and just keeps like, just kept walking. I was like, I made it. Like, you know, it's kind of like. It was like, you know, when a homeless guy who's like a kind of a legendary dude remembers your name, I think, you know.
Isn't that's like more jarring when like someone who you kind of know is a little crazy, like does something completely sane.
Right. Is completely lucid for half a second.
Well, that's it. I kind of started
Afternoon?
looking at him in a completely different light. I realized that there was something there behind him, you know, that he wasn't just this, you know, nut who painted himself from head to toe in red.
He's like, I paint myself head to toe in red, and he's like, one for Legends of the Fall, please.
Yeah.
But like, so I mean, is it like, do you know? Is it confirmed that like the paint in fact like poisoned him and
You know
killed
what?
him,
I
or,
think
like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it very well could have been, but I think that the guy has had other demons other than that. I mean, you know, I think living in the streets of San Francisco for years will do that to you. But I don't know. That's always been the rumor.
it's pretty
I
rare that
say
painting yourself
after
red
this,
is
we
your
dig
only,
up his body and let's find
You want
out.
to exhume his body? Like,
Exactly.
all right, let's go to the dump.
Oh my God. So I'm just talking about how white people took over the mission, and this. Let's just keep on this. But yeah, this place used to be, you know, it was kind of a, you know, crazy bar, and then Marty took it over and then took over the lab. But I always had heard rumors that this place was haunted, and I have a story behind this.
Okay.
And I asked Marty what it was, so I'm actually going to read from my mobile device. It's a BlackBerry 1500. Let me just dial into AOL and get up.
Is this part of the story?
Boop, beep.
You don't work for BlackBerry, do you?
Okay, so the place, the whole deal is that the Latin American Club is supposedly haunted by a ghost named Hector. Hector was a
Is
former
he tall
owner.
and slender?
Exactly. This could be where Slenderman comes in. Hector was a former owner when it was called Charlie's Cocktail Lounge. And he hired a hitman to knock off a guy who was having an affair with his wife, which is strangely weird in the Latin community. The killer ran into the victim at the transfer club, which is now the Makeout Room, and picked a fight with him over some false pretense. The victim refused to fight and left the bar and went to the Latin, came back up here. While he's sitting at the bar, the killer finds him, runs in here. The killer finds and chases him into the kitchen of the Chinese restaurant across the street that still's there and grabs a chicken knife. Grabs a kitchen knife. He returns to the bar and stabs him while he's sitting on a bar stool.
In the Latin.
Yeah, he's right over there, killing him. The killer then runs back to Hying Yen The fantastic Chinese place right across the street. I highly recommend their egg foo young.
Great advertising.
I
And
hear-
fantastic kitchen.
Everything's cut up really well there.
King Young. And hides in the kitchen where the cops find him and arrest him. When Marty tore the false ceiling out of this place, Hector's death certificate dropped out in a sealed envelope.
Wow.
Crazy,
So-
huh? And the ironic thing about this is my wife now manages this place, and she hears murdered many people.
Wow.
She what?
With kitchen knives.
Is anybody going to hear this? No, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I mean, the death certificate was in the ceiling of this place. So
Wow.
and I've heard, people have said that they felt weird stuff here. I usually just feel horrible service.
This place is haunted with assholes.
Yeah, the only thing my wife is haunted by is the ownership of this bar and her half-assed employees.
I heard the men's room is haunted by stepped on cocaine.
That room, if you go into the bathroom, you'll get high just when the door shuts. I've seen crazy stuff in here. I met John Cusack in this bar.
Really?
They used to have a pool table here.
Right.
And I got to, I was playing pool, and he was next. I didn't recognize him because he had a backwards baseball cap on.
Bro. He's a
And
bro.
he did the total bro thing, and I thought it was just like, it was a Cubs hat.
Of course.
And I told him my favorite, my line that my dad told me years ago when I was like kind of full of my own self and walking around with my baseball hat on backwards and never choosing to wear a shirt. Being that guy. And my dad came up to me one day after having a couple martinis. He said, I got a question for you. I heard only assholes and catchers wear baseball caps backwards. Now, let me ask you something. Do you got a game today?
Did you say that to
I
him?
said that to Cusack, yeah. And he thought it was really funny. And so and I just said, I went and I said, just told him I was a fan of his movies. And it was right around the time he was filming some fucking horrible movie here. I can't remember what it was, but it was something really bad. But I did say to him, he said something to me. I said, John, you'll say anything. And then I said, you can use that if you want. And I gave him a Peter Gabriel cassette. And I don't want to say that I was responsible for any of that, but I think I was.
Somebody told me if you ever meet a famous person, what you should do is think of like the most obscure shitty thing they've done, and just be like, "Hey, weren't you in?" Like if I ever met that director Joel Schumacher, who's done like Batman movies and did Tigerland, just go over to him and be like, "Hey, you're Joel Schumacher. Did you write DC Cab?"
See, that's the kind of stuff,
I can't think of one really, really bad Cusack film.
Like 2012
I was going to
pretty
say
bad.
Schumacher. I'm like, you're not trying hard enough.
Like we have some current ones.
Oh,
Like
2012
was pretty terrible.
That room, what was the one where they haunted the hotel, the room something?
Oh, like Room 23.
Yeah, that was
or
really
room
bad.
5 or who
Oh,
gives
yeah.
a shit movie.
Yeah,
That's name of it.
what was the one you just said? The big
2012.
2012.
Okay,
Yeah, that was.
Like, yeah, he's not immune from making bullshit or wearing baseball caps back.
And the fact that 2012 didn't even address chemtrails.
or they had plenty of time to investigate 9/11.
I know.
Man, I was just thinking, like, if you were a ghost and you were haunting the Latin American Club, it's like, what would you?
like be like the most jaded ghost ever. It'd be like,
You're like, you're still into that
I'm
band?
from beyond the grave. This must horrify. Oh no, I'm sure it doesn't.
No,
Look at you.
I think that there's tons of ghosts in here. I'll be like standing there and suddenly I'll hear somebody come and go, "Boo! Do you have a bum?"
Oh my God! Call Scooby Doo.
My God, it's somebody from the '80s.
Somebody who was staying with me once said that he thought that my apartment was haunted because he heard something down the hallway.
Right.
And I was like, look, I've lived here for like 20 years, and the people who lived there before I moved in, it was a speed den. There was like 13 people living there. I was like, so it's possible that somebody may have died in that place, but like a speed freak, like ghost, I would just be like, I cleaned the kitchen.
That would be the worst ghost ever.
We're
Just up all night talking to you, just about nothing.
It's like wake up and all your CDs are alphabetized.
You're like,
What the hell?
You're like,
Annoying.
aren't you supposed to be scaring me? The only thing that's scaring me is that you won't leave right now.
I believe, you know what? I totally believe in that stuff, but I want to believe that it's true. But I've never had anything happen to me. I've been,
I'm
I've been
like you.
haunted by horrible hangovers, but
I'm like you, Parker. I really would want to like have some sort of supernatural experience. But like maybe I'm too jaded. I'm just like, that's bullshit. Like a fucking flying saucer could come down. I'd be like, oh, flying saucers. That's cool.
Like, I feel like
Nice CGI.
Well, I feel like I've done too many drugs now to where like I'm never going to be like completely blown away by the effects of them so much that I would think that I had a supernatural experience.
It could be your third eye is closed now, bro.
Yeah, could have crammed too much crap in it.
Well, I'm serious because I think
Smoke a gravity bong through my third eye once. It just sealed shut.
if we're going to delve into this topic, I truly believe that that's why kids and stuff like that have their reports. I'm totally into these shows, like when it shows like, haunted children or stuff like that, and they talk to these kids about and they say that these experiences, these things that they talk about people, like name what they were wearing, like in the previous owners goes, that's my mom, like she is talking to my mom. So I truly believe that something can be said for that because children they're pure and they don't have this jaded shit that comes in and poisons your senses the older you get.
You sound like Michael Jackson.
There's like an age cutoff though, definitely, because like
Not for Michael Jackson.
Wait a minute.
Or is there?
I've been backed into supporting something which I do not agree with. No, but like there's definitely an age cutoff because I remember encountering like a 26 or 27-year-old girl that was like, oh yeah, there's totally ghosts here, blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, that's adorable, but also you're an idiot. It's like,
yeah, when you hear like these stories about like kids that are possessed by the devil, it's like, isn't it like just more likely that there's just asshole kids?
Exactly. Had too much candy. My mom has a really good ghost story. My grandmother has a really good ghost story. My sister Leslie does. My sister Lisa does. My sister Liz in their house. Everybody did. But I've kind of had one weird thing happen, but nothing that I would think,
I feel like also like teenagers and young people today are much more like into like supernatural stuff. When you look at like all of the movies, like those like paranormal activity movies and like The Conjuring, like it seems like every other week there's like 2 like horror movies that come out, and kids just can't get enough of them because they all cost like $6 million and they all make like $70 million.
Yeah. Right. I think it's something that everybody's constantly, it's always going to be fascinating to us. I mean, look at how many shows on TV deal with ghosts or paranormal stuff. My favorite is the ghost hunter guys, the douchey ghost hunter guys, or just the guys from Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's Zach, and he's always just like, it's just the worst outfits. He has his own line of clothing now, and he dresses kind of like a gunslinger, but he's a little bit fucking steampunk.
Because ghosts really respond to
yeah, they totally do.
Aesthetically pleasing.
And here's the deal, bro. He's not afraid to confront the ghosts.
No, hell no.
Not Zach.
Do you remember that like
and
short?
So far, he's found exactly 0, which is but he's
Exactly.
about to find
batting 1,000. Do you know there was that short-lived show, Celebrity Ghost Stories?
It's still on, man. It's in like its 6th season because we watch it every damn weekend. My wife loves it.
Because I'm like, if I'm like really hungover, I'll be like, yeah, let's see what Denise Richards has to say about like seeing some dark figure in her window.
But they have some good, like, okay, Fred Willard was on there, so he's credible, but like, they always have people like Ray Don Chong, and you have like people you haven't seen in like, Ray Don Chong is, like, it'll show her little bio. Ray Don Chong showed her tits, and it'll like mention all the movies that she was naked in, and it's like, it's always just these random, it sounds sexist that I just said that, but I don't fucking care.
I know there's a joke in there somewhere about Fred Willard getting jerked off by a ghost.
Fred Willard's like, I went to a gay movie theater. Next thing I know, my pants were gone.
That guy, ghosts? Fred Willard, can masturbate anywhere he wants, as far as I care.
I totally agree.
Golden.
If he wants to come over to my house.
Like Thanksgiving dinner? Go ahead, Fred.
He wants to come over to my house and beat off my dog's face, I'm all for it. You've earned it, buddy.
All right, you want to take a break?
That brings us back to Barkcast. Barkcast with masturbate. Okay, forget it.
Slenderman Barkist.
Slenderman, our Lord and Savior. All right, this is SFBarkast. We'll be back from the Latin American Club. All right, and we are back at the Latin American Club with Parker Gibbs.
The Latin.
Thank you for having me again, guys. This is fantastic.
One of the things that I like about this bar is around the back where the restroom is, they have a gum machine, and the sign on the gum machine says it covers up like alcohol if you are going to get pulled over and have to do a breathalyzer, which I'm not so sure like that's true. I mean, because I think it's just gum.
It'd be a hard thing to sue, like that,
I bought this gum in the back of a dark bar.
If you notice, it's from Barnum and Bailey Industries, so just take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, it's kind of that's been up there. That's been up there since day one. They've never. I think the gum is still the same that's in there.
If you saw somebody like putting money in to get that gum, you'd be like, whoa, don't put that in your mouth.
Right. No, I think it'd be like seeing a unicorn. It'd be something so magical I couldn't even comprehend it.
I was talking to Jeff in like the first segment. Like, I'm sure like if any of these like pinatas still contain candy, it must be pretty fucking disgusting.
Oh my god.
I'm guessing most of them are old condoms.
Probably.
And I got in the window of the Latin American Club is the poster to your birthday party.
What a coincidence!
Most people don't have. I've never had a birthday party where I had a poster. But you know, so many people in the local music industry. So where's your birthday party's going to be at the Makeout Room?
My birthday will be at the Makeout Room on June 15th. My birthday's actually June 16th. I don't like to bring attention to myself, but gifts are mandatory. So
fair enough.
Yeah, don't be a dick. That's all I'm saying. Don't show
Very
up and be
humble,
a dick.
but don't show up without a
No,
gift.
listen, for like the past 10 years, I've been doing this festival called Parker's Alooza, and it was just a total take up on the whole, Lollapalooza thing of just having as many bands as you can, and I like the idea because I feel like I'm kind of blessed. I'm somebody who I DJ and stuff, but that's about as close as I'll ever be to doing anything that has any sort of artistic value.
And your DJ name is
DJ Food Court.
DJ Food Court.
Excellent, excellent.
Which is probably the greatest DJ name ever.
I'd have to agree.
It just covers every genre because you think about it.
It's like a buffet.
It's hot dog on a stick to Cinnabon, and that's exactly the kind of music I play.
It smells kind of like bleach and deep fried food.
Exactly. And sadness and despair.
It's like walking around a mall in flip flops.
Most of my shows are filled with unattended children.
Exactly.
So look at the lineup for your birthday party. You have Kelly Stoltz.
Yeah, I have Kelly Stoltz headlining, and he's just getting off of a tour. He's just been on tour. His new record is on Third Man Records, which is Jack White's label. So he's been on the road with Jack White, or I think he calls himself Sir Jack White now. And so Kelly's just getting off a tour with that. So those guys will be in fighting shape. One of my favorite bands in the Bay Area, the Once and Future band. Joel and Raj, I think, are two of the most talented dudes in the Bay Area. They just always surround themselves with amazing players. It's kind of AM Gold, kind of proggy at times. It's kind of indescribable what it is. I mean,
it's like
amazing harmonies.
Seals and Croft. And
no, it's seriously. I mean, that's what they're pulling from in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like, it justifies my record collection. I'll tell you that much. And they have Isaiah from Earthless and Golden Void playing guitar with them, who, as far as I'm concerned, is probably one of the greatest guitarists of our or any generation. And I'm not sure if Eli's going to be playing with, but Eli's really great. And I think that Phil Manley's going to be playing in the band too. And he's been on tour with Trans Am. I may be wrong on him, but I'm not sure. But he just got his whole band Trans Am back together. And then opening up is a guy named Michael Beach.
Michael Beach,
and he's from Australia. So
never heard of it.
So he likes to get mental and
mental as anything.
And my buddy, my friend,
mental with Wolf Mother.
My friend Spiral Stairs, Scott Camberg from the late great band Pavement is going to come up and he's going to sing on a song or two with Michael, and Mark Eitzel's also going to join them for some magical covers.
Mark Eitzel, I once saw a mutual friend of yours and mine, Greg Burton's, get into a fight with Mark Eitzel at a house party.
Oh yeah, I think I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I was there.
I can't remember what they were fighting over. I think they were fighting over like who had more feelings than the other one.
Who could be sadder? Yeah, I remember that party, and I can't remember what it was, but Greg was kind of, that's back when film school was riding high.
Film school was great.
Film school's a great band. They're actually getting back together to play at Donnie's birthday party.
I heard this.
Yeah.
Greg told me not to tell anyone. Wait, is that on?
Greg told you not to tell anyone. Donnie's telling everybody. It's Donnie's fucking party. So let's just say film school's playing at Donnie's party. This is a fucking exclusive. Yes.
Well, you heard it here first.
Well, and as Super Dave Osborne said
with
about
special
podcasts,
guest, Slender Man.
As Dave Osborne said about podcasts, you'd probably have more luck reaching people like by yelling out of a bus. So we're not exactly breaking it up. I think like.
But yeah, Mark, I've known Mark a long time. I came to San Francisco. Well, since I've been here, AMC was always
he was in the American Music Club.
And I actually met Mark Eitzel here for the first time at the Latin American Club. Bring this thing full circle. Mark Mark used to always drink in here. He still does. He lives in Los Angeles now.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of brought it full circle. This is where I met Eitzel, and we became friends. I just started kind of talking about his music, and then he realized that I'd also kind of call him on his shit. I'm a big fan, but all the people that I become friends with, my friends in bands, it's like, I think I'm friends with a lot of them because I don't have a bullshit kind of thing in me.
They're probably so used to getting like their ass kissed, and then here comes Parker. It's like, that's not going to happen.
Well,
Hey, how about fuck you?
that's
Hey, I like your. Hey, I just bought your album. You suck.
Hey, that guy is awesome.
listen. I'm
Told us how much we
I'm
suck.
Joe Q Public, my friend, and I'm the one who's buying all this shit. So if I'm hauling it back up to Amoeba to sell it 2 days later, you're not doing your job. Okay? No, I think that. I think we're very blessed because people like Kelly Stoltz and getting to. I met Spiral Stairs at a Tindersticks show at Bimbo's years ago. Then we became friends because we had a mutual friend, and then years later, I'm best man at his wedding in Australia.
Spiral Stairs, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Scott Canterbury.
Yeah, so just kind of cool. It's. I don't know. I feel very blessed. I worked for record labels. I worked for a record label called Caroline, who back in the day was an indie label that we distributed. I was doing the retail into stuff, but it was kind of a cool job because I got to set up all the in stores.
Okay,
so I set up in stores with Hole, Smashing Pumpkins. I drove Nirvana to their show at the Kennel Club.
Oh, wow.
I've had a lot of. I drove Mick Taylor from the Stones around for a day, which is one of the greatest stories
like,
ever.
Hello, bud. I think I see a hooker.
Yeah, no. His manager called me up and he said.
Oh, it's just a dog.
His manager called me up and he's
Still
like,
pull over.
his manager's like, he's like, Parker, whatever you do not get him any cocaine. Mick loves cocaine. He's been clean for years. And so I'm driving around my little Honda Civic, and I'm taking him to like all the Tower record stores when Towers used to be a chain.
Right.
And and we had some time in between, so we stopped at this pub over near the Golden Gate Park when we're on our way to this Tower Stonestown, which is where you go when you think of rock and roll and Mick Taylor of the Stones. And
Probably
we
the happiest
pulled
moment
over.
of his life.
We're just in this pub, and I was just trying not to be a complete nerd, geek, but I'm sitting there with Mick Taylor from the Stones, and I want to ask him so many things, and he just takes a deep drink of his beer. He's like, "All right, what's on your mind?" So I just started asking him some questions. He was like really cool about responding to stuff, and we started, just going back and forth. I was really into his first solo record on CBS that Lowell George from Little Feat played on, and he liked the fact that I knew that I wasn't just about the Stones, about like these epic solos he did, or like Cocksucker Blues where they're fucking doing coke off of, passing people around. It was just, he didn't want to talk about any of that stuff and how he was portrayed. And
Yeah, when you think about it, like if you went over to one of the members of the Stones, like, hey, you know what I really like? Jumpin' Jack Flash. You'd be like, yeah, everybody does. Get away from me.
Exactly. I go, that one song where you solo? What was that?
You know, one where
Ed
Mick was
Sullivan
kind of
like?
dancing around like an
What's
idiot.
that one where Mick dances and claps? I love that jam. But
Did you really tell those guys at Altamont to fuck all those people up?
be cool, babies. Cool out. So anyway, we're sitting there talking. He takes another drink. He goes, I've got a question for you. He was like this very soft-spoken man. He's like, could you get any cocaine? And I'm like, and I'm just like going, and I'm thinking about his manager, the guy from the little label that he's on at this point. And I looked at him, I'm like, whatever you want. I'm like, let me see if I can make some calls. That's back, that was like in the early 90s when I knew people. So it was like, I'm like, yeah. So
Parker, I love how you started it out like, he was like, yeah, we had this moment together. Where it's like, Andrew, I'll be Mick, and
Right.
you be Parker, okay?
next thing I know,
And
we
I'm
have
like, hey, what's on your mind, Andrew? Parker?
They're like, oh yeah, I have a lot of
Can you
questions
give me
about.
cocaine?
No, he listened to all my questions, and he was very patient and kind of folded his hands very properly,
like,
very English.
Jesus, I wish he'd mentioned cocaine so I could like have it in.
So like 4 hours later, we've missed the in-store. We're killing a hobo with our bare hands. We're just jacked up.
It's like if texting invented.
No,
was
I ended up-
invented, then he'd be like,
I ended up
he'd be
calling
like
a guy
talking
that-
to this guy, waiting for him to mention cocaine.
I called it. There was no texting back there.
I know. I'm saying if it existed, like.
Yeah, there was. So he put this guy on the list for his show, and I just remember being there, like, because I was talking to my boss from the label, from Caroline was there, and I just remember seeing this guy show up, like, with all of his like crew, and just slink backstage, and then Mick Taylor showed up, and I could tell that he that the eagle had landed, so to speak.
It's like that scene from, was it Ed Wood? where you know that scene where like Bela Lugosi, who's a junkie, like they're trying to shoot outside, and Bela's like, "Oh, Eddie, I don't think I can do this. I'm too tired." And he's like, "Well, we got everything ready." He's like, "Give me a minute." And he goes away, and you can know he shoots up, and then he shows up. He's like, "All right, let's shoot this bitch."
I don't want to drop names, but this is a really great story. If it involves cocaine, and if my mother-in-law listens to this, I will deny I even said this. Your ears, you're going deaf, so you don't know what you're listening to.
You know what? We're going to. I'll take that risk that your mother-in-law will not listen to this.
So years ago, I had a good friend that I went to college with. His name was Bob Johnston. He's recently deceased. One of the greatest guys ever. His dad, Bob Sr., did like. Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison, Nashville Skyline, Blonde on Blonde. So he was like this.
Wow.
From this, his dad is music, just.
Is he a musician?
Royalty.
Was Bob a musician? Bob was a musician. Bob was his dad. Yeah, Bob Sr. He wrote songs for Elvis Presley.
Wow.
He and his wife Joy. They had songs published for Elvis. But he was really responsible for a lot of the stuff that ended up on those records, but more kind of creating the vibe of those things. But he was friends with what was the guy's name? Was it Albert Grossman, the guy who became Stevie Ray Vaughan's manager?
Okay.
I want to see Albert. We may have to look this up when we're also checking the Slender Man.
As long as it's not Stevie Ray Vaughan's helicopter driver.
His manager was named Slender Man, and so.
Holy shit.
So anyway,
Searching for Slender Man.
He played at this club. He played in this club in Oakland called the Berkeley Square. And my friend Chuck Prophet, his band.
Chuck.
I can't remember what Chuck's band was. It wasn't Bad Attitude. It was some other fucking horrible name. And Chuck, you had a shitload of those.
Social Distortion or something.
It was wild, maybe Wild Game or something like that. I don't know what it was. It wasn't Green on Red yet. I'll tell you that. So, Stevie Ray's manager had asked Bob, and Bob used to get like back then, the college years, he could get the, it was the Marin County,
Fairgrounds?
Champagne, my brother, and so. We go to we end up he tells him, he's like, Stevie just wants to play a game of pool, which everybody knows is, well, not everybody, but you kids at home stay in school, but playing pool is slang for an 8-ball of cocaine, which is 3.5 grams.
Now see, I didn't know that, but I'd be like, hey, you want to play some pool? Yeah, meet me in the men's room. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Next thing I know, I'm blowing a guy. I didn't even get any coke.
You probably played a lot of pool with people that wanted coke and realized, like, he's really playing pool with me. Fuck this guy.
So
Shit, I wasted so much time.
We ended up going backstage, and Stevie Ray sitting behind this desk, and he has like this, he just is, and he hadn't really kind of blown up yet. It was kind of like at the very beginning. He played the San Francisco Jazz Festival, and then I think his first record had just come out. So he was still playing small clubs, and like just kind of building it up.
He's probably just still known by Stephen Vaughn at that point.
Yeah, he went by Stephen Vaughn for many
Ray Vaughn.
Mr. Stephen Vaughn, accountant.
So we go backstage at the Berkeley at the Keystone Berkeley, and or was it the Berkeley Square? I don't know. I'm making this whole story up. So we go backstage, and he's sitting behind his desk, and has his big cowboy hat on. He stands up. He's just like kind of larger than life, and he shakes my hand, and he's interested to know who I am, and Bobby and his brother Andy, they're like, yeah, and so he's like, yeah, I got you something, and he just pours out the 8-ball onto the desk in front of him, and he's like talking. He's like, how's your dad doing, man? And blah blah blah, and going back and forth, and how excited he is for this tour, and this, and we're just kind of talking, making small talk. I'm like, yeah, I'm back with Stevie Ray Vaughan, watching him do a massive pile of cocaine.
Well, it's good. Like, he's like the cokehead with a heart of gold. He really wants to know what's going on.
And I'm not lying. And he opens up the desk. Like, it's obviously the manager of the club says. He opens it up. There's like, he's looking for something. He opens up. He just takes like this piece of paper and he rolls it up, and it's like a straw, like 8 inches long. And I just see him he just bends his head and he just lifts up. And he keeps talking about it, and your daddy. How do you get those sounds on? And he does another one. He's like, yeah, man, when he had Al Cooper playing with him, and he just keeps going off and off. And while we're doing this, I'm just watching him do 3.5 grams of cocaine in front of me in like a matter of a minute.
Jesus Christ.
And then he looks up all sheepish, and he's like, oh my God, where are my manners? Did you guys want some of this? And we were just, and Bob,
let me see if I can scrape some out of my nostrils.
You're like, I did, but you're so rude.
My friend Bob, the same guy who would...
Give me some pepper, I'll sneeze, you'll have some.
My friend Bob, the same guy who when we met Johnny Cash, when Bob asked him to sign his record, he goes, "Is that Bobby with 2 B's?" He goes, "Is that Johnny with 2 N's?" And the same Bob says to Stevie, he goes, "Yeah, we probably would have done some, Stevie, but you goddamn did it all." And so Stevie, and he got this look on his face, just like,
I hope you
Yeah,
die.
he was probably like really sad.
he was
"Oh,
sincerely, and I was just like, I'm like, "Oh, dude, whatever, you're the greatest. I don't care."
If I
So,
wasn't so ridiculously coked up, I would be sad.
but it was kind of, yeah, man. It
That's-
was seeing
that's an amazing
seeing that,
story.
but yeah, Mick Taylor and those. But where were we? My birthday party coming.
Oh yeah, I think we're done with that.
Okay.
So if you want to see
Sunday-
Stevie Ray Vaughan's Ghost and Mick Taylor 2 Coke, come to my birthday party.
Sunday the 15th, the Makeout Room, 8 p.m.
So you, speaking of another Bob, like you are good friends with the band Pavement.
Well, I know Scott Camberg, Spiral Stairs, and I know Stephen Malcolm. Well, we
Bob Nastarovich.
We got
What's wrong with that guy?
Bob is a weird dude, man. I mean, I got to know Bob because we got to follow them around when we went to Australia, and we got to see those dates. That we went to New York and we saw Los Angeles. We got to be around the band a little bit more than probably most people. And it's really weird because I didn't know them back, when they were coming up, but I got them on the reunion tour. So when you get them on the reunion tour, the dynamic is already a little different anyway, But he's a major player in horse racing.
Yeah, we were just talking about
Enough so that rumors can't be confirmed or not. That is why Pavement got back together for that tour.
because they lost money.
Was to help get
ponies?
him out of some binds, perhaps. Perhaps it's true. I don't know.
Such an anti-indie rock sort of thing, where it's like,
This is like
we're
an
not
IT
going to get
report.
together until somebody needs help for their horse racing debt.
But I told Camberg years ago, I'm like, I used to always call that guy Free Ride because I never got it. Like he would just kind of like be like, he'd be on the side playing, drums, and like every now and then he'd go wee, like say something,
exactly.
like his whole fucking
I'm
shtick.
trying.
But like when you listen,
Like a
to
Bez of
those
Pavement.
records and you see it, and like you read anything about him, he's like a huge. Like he
Probably
and,
the
he and
glue.
Malcolm became friends back in Virginia and everything, and that's kind of the seeds of it.
I
Every
would
once in
argue-
a while, a song needs a good wee or something.
I would argue that Pavement is the best California band ever.
Wow.
I would
argue-
I would.
I mean, who else is up there? Like the
Except,
Beach
you know what?
Boys.
But I guarantee you, fucking Malcolmus would say, "Well, I was in New York while we were doing this." But Camberg, who's the guy who did everything, Camberg's the one who named the band. Camberg's the
You
guy.
guys are from Stockton, though, right?
Yeah, he was in Stockton at the time. I think he'd come back from college. He was
UVA.
yeah. No, Malcolmus was at UVA. Camberg went to Arizona or Arizona State. I think Arizona State. Had come back and was living in Stockton. But anyway, that's where they were. That's where they were trading tapes and stuff, going back and
think
forth.
you
And then they
forgot-
went to Stockton to record with Gary.
I think you forgot about
But I
a band
agree,
called
I
the
think-
Red Hot Chili Peppers, actually.
And also corn. You cannot
Oh, yeah.
discount.
Can you
Okay.
believe that the Red Hot?
LBC.
Can you believe that the Red Hot Chili Peppers are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
That's ridiculous. There's a million reasons the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should be torn down and
Yeah.
bulldozed into the fucking
I
Ohio
saw.
River. And that's
I
one
was
of them.
watching Jimmy Fallon the other night, and he had this drum off between Will Ferrell and Chad Smith because there's been a thing
They
going around that
look
they look
alike.
alike.
Hilarious. They look alike.
It was just totally silly over the top thing, and then they had the Chili Peppers come jumping out and doing their whole mugging like halftime
they're
Super
like-
Bowl
Like
shtick.
everybody would
And-
be freaking
And it made
the
me
fuck
realize
out.
just how they are the fucking worst fucking band ever.
I would also argue that they are the worst fucking
I
band
mean,
ever.
I'm not lying. Anthony Kiedis, I mean, he looks great for his age. Yeah, God love him, but he sucks. His voice
terrible,
is
like,
absolutely horrible. I mean, at least Flea has branched out and done other things with other people, as horrible as those projects are too.
I didn't see that Jimmy Fallon, but I can only imagine they're like, okay, and to top it off, here are these 50-year-old guys with socks on their dicks.
They did some song where they were exchanging riffs with the Roots, and every time it came up time for Kiedis to sing, he has nothing. He's horrible.
Andrew brought this little brochure from Jerome, Arizona, and it's from a vineyard that's owned by.
Oh, I know where this is going. That's Maynard G.
That's Maynard from Tool.
Yeah. I was gonna say Maynard G. Krebs from Toby Gillis.
He's like king of the burnout.
Did you go to this?
Yeah. Like he's
Can you-
I didn't say. I mean, he's not around or anything. He's way too big to be involved in his own business.
Parker,
but-
when I was like in the 90s, like that band meant everything to me, and now the guy's just like stomping on grapes in Arizona.
Hanging out with hippies in Arizona.
You know, I got to give this
I am
band.
your
This band has
God.
at least remained some, kind of interesting over the years. You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Tool, they're not really my thing, but I saw them one time and it was a really amazing show. I like here that in their little brochure for all the wine people who are giving like props, Pitchfork, we give this wine 2.5 stars.
That's great.
Like every Pitchfork review should start out like, it's a little derivative from something that you don't know about.
I've heard the grapes before. Like,
I've heard these grapes before.
Oh, you're still into those grapes?
I love the picture of him just hiding behind these grapes, and like,
Oh, I know, like-
those people go, "Oh my God, it's him."
He's like, I used to be into
grapes, dude.
I used to be into like acid. Now I'm into grapes.
This is pretty impressive. This is a nice little brochure you guys have.
It's a nice place they got to. I mean, like, and they charge a good $30 for a T-shirt. And, like,
When you're
and stuff
sampling
like
the
that.
wine,
So,
are they
like,
just blaring the Tool?
they're not acting. I mean, like they've totally well, the funny thing is like in this weird like, have you ever been to like Jerome, Arizona? It's like on the top, like
It's on a cliff.
yeah,
I
it's
love
like,
that song by ZZ
like
Top.
on the top of a mountain basically, and it's just this like like
Is it
pseudo.
near Sedona?
It is, yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
And it's like and it's just like this sort of like hippie commune or whatever that's just like got deposited on the top of this hill like 2 miles in the air or whatever. But he just sort of like moved there and like became the wine guru of the entire area or whatever like that. And just
I admire him. I mean, I like.
yeah,
It's not an easy
you
thing
can't
to
really
do
like
that.
yeah, you can't really like even fault that because it's like
I can't.
that's
I mean, you know what?
I can't fuck him.
You think
I hope he
about
dies.
Fuck that guy.
you think how hard it would be to learn this, having millions of dollars and hiring the best people around you. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and I guess like everybody has like whatever they're into because I know the drummer in that band. He's really into collecting like ancient swords.
It doesn't even sound cliched at all. That's kind of cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm in a metal band and I'm really into weaponry.
I remember years ago they did a cribs on that guy's house.
Which one?
The drummer.
The drummer, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
wow.
remember seeing that, like all that, like it was like kind of just going through this horrible like one-story house. Like they lived, they all those guys are like family men, They all have kids, and just like some place like in the valley, just going through, and then it goes into his man cave, which is like it opens up. There's a kimono, and then there's like there's a couple of cross swords over it. You know what I mean? Like
Smoke machine pours out onto the floor.
The
like-
+2 battle axe.
yeah, exactly. It's like this one, Ingvi gave this to me on tour, and like it's like,
This one was too big for Ronnie James Dio to hold up, so I took it.
Ingve gave it to you. Ingve Johnson? No, Malmsteen.
I saw an interview with the guy from Oracle, what's his name, Larry Ellison, and it was like the most laughable interview because he was showing people around his house in Atherton, and it's like he's wearing like a kimono, and he's like, welcome to my dojo. This is my koi pond. And it's just like,
you were there when you saw this.
no, I saw like the interview, but it's like I couldn't believe like you're this multi-billion-dollar guy. Like this is how you want to present yourself as like this some dude who's like really basically like a 15-year-old boy who's into Bruce Lee movies.
Right. No, I give.
Wait, he has a houseboy.
No,
sure he has, like, probably 20.
he basically is a boy.
Oh, speaking of that, Mark Zuckerberg was in here last night.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh God, really?
yeah.
Sucks.
He supposedly doesn't tip for shit.
I heard that.
I'm sure that's true.
Friend of the show, Kevin Montgomery, was saying. By the way, Slenderman, friend of the show as well. Kevin Montgomery was saying.
Kevin Montgomery, friend of Slenderman?
Exactly. He said-
Slender Man. Can we write a song tonight?
Actually, yeah, as long as I own the rights to it.
Get Zuckerberg in here. He can pay for everything.
I guess like Kevin was saying that like one of Zuckerberg's like moves is when he is alone and he's getting driven around in a limo, like he gets shotgun chauffeured. Like he doesn't want to sit in the back of the limo. He wants to sit in the front with the driver. And he's just like, yeah, I may be worth billions of dollars, but I put on my hoodie one arm at a time, just like you.
Oh my
I may be
God.
worth $1 billion, but I'm still not smart enough to take advantage of like a limousine that's behind me, like that is going to waste.
Right?
What do Mark Zuckerberg? Let me say it again. Mark Zuckerberg. What do Mark Zuckerberg, Woody Allen, and Kodak Film have in common?
They all fuck their kids. Oh wait, no.
Something about developing.
They all come in tiny yellow boxes. Kids, Kodak film was something that was around a long time ago.
Film is something you used to put in a camera, and a camera.
Cameras are things that aren't on phones.
And
that joke was incredibly racist. Thank you. Good night.
That's a mic drop.
That's
That's a walk-off.
Good night. Slenderman rules.
All right, you want to take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll wrap it up,
Sure.
and we'll talk about the bar.
Oh, for a change.
So no more. No, maybe we'll
Talk about the what?
the bar.
The bar.
The bar. We'll maybe
This bar?
maybe we'll whip in a little Slender Man.
It's in relation to Maynard Keenan.
You would think Slender Man's a really tall guy. You would think like the Utah Jazz would be like, hey, let's get this guy. Let's get this guy on like a contract.
Let's write a song by the time we come back. Slender Man, I hope you can alleviate my pain. We got this girl we're gonna sacrifice to you. Slender Man, come and take her away. Slender Man. then you come in with the ballad part. Slender Man,
Just like assign that to me, like.
Yeah, you have to like sing it in like a British
Like a
accent.
Slender Man.
It's got that moment in Stonehenge, like, here we go.
And then we said hello to the Slender Man.
All right, we'll be back from the Latin.
Everyone knows yourself that these phases are fleeting. Time to take stock, face up to the path life is leading. Watching your eyes with your eyes, seeing through death's disguise.
All right, we are back at the Latin American Club.
Indeed.
With Parker Gibbs.
Hello.
Thank you, Parker, for being here.
Parker,
Thank you guys
what
so
do you-
much for having me.
What do you drink when you come to the Latin American Club?
Well, their margaritas are kind of legendary. They're a pint of violence and tears. It's basically what it is. It's
We were as we do before we go do a barcast, we look at the 1-star reviews at Yelp.
Right.
And someone was complaining. Their big complaint about this bar was that the drinks were too strong.
I've always found that funny because today we have this whole cocktail nation, which I absolutely. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, if I want to go get a drink or like. There needs to be bars where you can get a beer and a shot or just a cocktail that is poured strongly. And if you don't like the cocktail, ask for a second glass of ice because then you get 2 for the price of 1.
Well, and it's a thing where like it's not as if one of these margaritas is gonna kill somebody. I mean, like yeah, it's a strong drink. You saw him make
I
it.
agree with you, man. If you can start it, you can drive it. So I know what you're saying. I know what you're trying to say right here. I mean, I get it.
But the idea is like, okay, well, then at some point you have a scooch of like, of responsibility where you're like, oh, that was too strong. I'm gonna like switch to something else.
We've been
Like,
talking for 4 hours, and
Why is-
all the ice is melted out of my drink. I'm still. It looks like something I found in the bathroom. I'm still clutching to, and it's because this drink is. I mean, they make really good margaritas,
Yeah,
but
like
you
they're
really don't
strong
need
as
more
shit.
than
Right.
if you drink 2, you're gonna go home with somebody you don't want to go home with.
This person like I don't know, like the end of their comment was something about going around the corner to a wine bar or something like that, and so it's like okay, I understand where you're coming from, but you shouldn't take a dump on some place that you just don't understand.
Well, I mean, this place
don't
is
belong in.
no frills, and the people who've worked here, they've worked here for many years. I think Yelp reviews aside, these people have a very good relationship with the customers come in here, and frankly, it's one of the last great. I don't want to call it a dive bar because it's not a dive bar. It's not shitty enough to be a dive bar, but the drinks are insanely strong. You can come in here on a Sunday like we are and have a place to stay. You can come here midweek, which I recommend to anybody who likes to drink. And do it. Weekends obviously are going to be a little bit more crazy, but I mean, it's a place where you go and you
nature
get a
of the beast at this
every
point.
bartender here pours a very strong drink. There's no pre-pour. There's no bar rescue here. You cannot rescue this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
rescue.
amazing that it's amazing that people will find fault with something like that, where the remedy to that fault lies 10 places around you. So like, why not let this
go
place
somewhere else.
exist? Like,
Or that
you know,
really
it all
lies
doesn't
within
have
you
to be
fucking
Trick
just
Dog,
thinking
you know?
and going, you know what, this drink is too strong. Perhaps I will get a second glass, and now I have 2 drinks for the price of 1. But no, you know what I will do? I will go to Yelp, and I will show them how I did major in English.
Water
and I have
that
written
down.
reviews for my old college newspaper, and I will let everybody know what I am about.
I'm going to write a bad review from the bar. How do you like that, sir?
Dear sirs and madams at Latin American Club, water down your drinks.
I usually don't write this. Me and some of my girlfriends had just come from Walnut Creek. I mean, we know good bars. We used to go out. We like Big Head Todd and the Monsters. We like Third Eye Blind. And we like to party. So we strolled upon this bar and immediately got attitude. It seems like the doorman didn't like that we had to have IDs. He asked us for our IDs. I'm obviously a mother of 5. You know, that's
I have to
always
be
how it
honest, I haven't
starts.
heard a good Big Head Todd and the Monsters dig in about 20 years.
I made some.
So take that, Big Head Todd fans.
I'll throw in Spencer the Gardener if you want. I'll go.
like
I'll
a
go
Toad the
deep.
Wet Sprocket.
Let's go to the. Let's talk Santa Barbara Rock.
Take the Isla Vista Rock.
Which, by the way, didn't happen according to the chemtrails.
Are you saying
Don't
Ugly
even get
Kid, Ugly Kid Joe didn't exist?
Unbelievable. I mean, yeah, I don't even want to go into the whole. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I've had it with all my conspiracy theorist friends.
That's a rare. I mean, like, you know, I mean, and it belies the fact that you're an interesting person. But you know, but I think that anytime you can get somebody to say, "I'm not going down the rabbit hole of Ugly Kid Joe," like, you know, you're talking to someone with extensive.
I was talking about
knowledge.
chemtrails, not of Ugly Kim
Oh, okay.
Joe. Of ugly Kim Jong. Ugly Kid Joe.
That makes a little more sense. 'Cause
I will not go
I was
down-
like, how could I like stir up so many like emotions just
But
by
how
mentioning
great,
Ugly
of a
Kid Joe?
logo did Ugly Kid Joe have? The kid wasn't a kid on second base with a backwards baseball cap or something stupid. It's
Hey, you know, I
he's
hear about
adorable
people-
and reckless.
I hear that people with backwards baseball caps are either
I saw ugly
catchers.
I saw ugly Kim Jong at the bottom of the hill once, and they were
You
great.
did? I wonder what they're all doing now. Do you think they're just like, you know,
Kim-
like Ugly Kid Joe? Because they kind of had a moment, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Well, Jackal had a moment.
I mean, like, they got to still be like state fair.
That's
big?
Dave from Jackal. Clean up on aisle 5. You know, he's just wearing like
the
this,
chains
like
off.
he's wearing like a leather vest, sleeveless vest.
But you gotta think
like a Walmart greeter.
You have to think that Ugly Kid Joe is at least not quite like Santa Cruz boardwalk level, but like state fair in the middle of like some, you know, of like Paso Robles or
How
something.
that whole exactly? I mean, how do you that whole thing that's defined by the state fairs and the casinos is a very interesting thing because I was, you know, I knew the guys from Soul Asylum for a long time, and I saw their ups and downs, like when they were really actually like a really legitimate band, and to become like this horrible band, to become this band that was like looking for.
Oh, I loved them
you
when
know,
they first started. I mean, like first like
I-
3 or
yeah,
4
I
albums.
love-
were fucking
When that band
fantastic.
came out, there was.
I love
I
Jay
tried to
Mascis.
I love Jay. When you try to explain to people about Soul Asylum, that band when they first came out, they were like a jet engine. I mean, they were so insanely loud, and their early records are insanely punk rock and insanely great. And even even up until the Horse They Rode In on some of those other records, you know, granted the one with all the kids on the milk cartons, they lost me.
Right.
But that's also when we became closer, and you know, they stayed at our house and stuff, and they did the Clinton inauguration twice in 1 year, and just crazy
One of my
shit.
favorite Soul Asylum stories is like my wife used to work at the Bay Street Safeway, like you know, like down like I guess what Fisherman's
Bay
Wharf-ish?
Street?
Yeah, and like what's his name? God, lead singer of Soul Asylum.
Dave Perner.
Groner, yeah. Bruner?
No,
Dave Perner's the lead singer.
Perner. Yeah. There we go. Sorry. And like he's wandering.
I
the
told you
aisle-
I know him.
I'm thinking of the guy from the Lemonheads.
No, not Evan Dando.
Not Evan Dando.
Evan Dando was scoring junk at that Bay Street Safeway.
But so Dave Perner is like is walking the aisles like just stoned out of his fucking head, no idea where he is for like 2 hours, and everybody knows it's like him by this point. They're just like, yeah, they're still in produce or whatever.
It's like Fruity
And,
Loops.
And Winona Ryder calls up like, and my wife answers, and she's like, is my boyfriend there? And like he's just like, can you describe him? He's the singer of Soul Asylum.
Can I do this? Ripped jeans, white dreadlocks, Minneapolis baseball jacket on.
He smells like Minneapolis.
Exactly. He has a faint butter smell on him.
Can we get it back to this bar? Let me tell you something.
please do. Jesus Christ, we're terrible about that.
What I like about this bar, and despite the fact that my friends have worked here for years, my wife manages this and the makeout room, is I think they truly remain true to what they're about. They serve very stiff drinks. They don't suffer fools. If you're coming in here and you're coming in here waiting for a muddled drink, you're in the wrong fucking place. Okay, but if you're coming in here and you want a strong drink, do it. If you come in here and you don't believe in tipping and you'd rather Yelp, it's your choice. Right. You know, but also these are the people who are going to call you on your shit. Most people know how to tip, and most people, I think you get more booze for your money in this bar than most bars in the city. Absolutely. And also, big open glass windows in front. It's almost like a delightful Fern bar. Like the more I think about it, the more I feel like I feel like this place has a New York sensibility about it, where it's like it's like basically like, if you're willing to spend the time to come in here and get to know the people, they're your best friends for life. They'll fucking have your back. They'll do everything. But maybe the first couple times you come in here, if you throw shade or be a dick, they'll fucking kick you the fuck out.
Throw shade? How do you throw shade?
These guys,
is that a New York thing?
Throw shade with your shade. These guys aren't as surly as say the zeitgeist.
Sure,
they're not going to give a shit if you're on your cell phone or whatever you're doing. Right. But if you're going to come in here and not tip, somebody's going to tell you don't tip. Don't you have did somebody Yelp about that?
There was a Yelp review where people were rude to me because I didn't tip. It's like, well, this is a very sound equation. It's like A plus B equals you getting thrown out of the bar.
Let me introduce you to the N word and where not to use it. Because apparently you need that kind of thing.
I'd like to know where not to use it.
Oakland primarily.
Do they sell champagne here?
We get bottle services.
Only the VIP in the bathroom.
I was thinking about this the other day because I was at some bar and they had champagne. The only people who get it are people who are celebrating birthdays or something like that.
Right.
I was like, what if you're just somebody who like the taste of champagne, and you're just every day
service.
Hey, I lost my job. Another bottle of champagne, please. Or my wife left me and my dog is dead. Another bottle of champagne. What? I like the taste of it.
Actually,
some people, why not? I mean, everybody likes different things.
My mother-in-law, I believe, used to love the taste of cold duck champagne.
Oh, cold duck, yeah.
And and that's sort of a Parker. That's a 1920s sort of drink for where it's
you tell your mother-in-law that champagne is from France, cold duck isn't. Okay, that's the first thing you tell her.
Sparkling wine, you whore.
What's the worst thing you've ever drank as a kid?
The worst thing I ever drank as a kid? I was having problems at the doctor. They had me peeing into an apple juice bottle for a while. You can see where this is going.
My
kidneys were shooting down. Shooting down. They were shooting down. My kidneys were shutting down. I was having problems where things were going
started on alcohol.
I had to pee into an apple juice bottle because my mom thought that would be the best way to store it. I got up in the middle of the night. And I drank my own urine, just like Kevin Costner in Water Bar.
See, I did that with somebody
just
Water Bar.
Kevin Costner in A Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Like Kevin Costner yesterday at his home.
No, the worst things ever. Besides my own urine, the worst thing I ever drank. I can't. Southern Comfort, hands down.
Really,
that is really bad.
Southern Comfort. I was. All my friends.
Sweet.
All my friends drank as a kid, and I'd take a sip of beer. I really didn't start drinking after I turned 21.
Late bloomer. Sure.
I was a late bloomer, yeah. It wasn't really my jam.
Certainly Southern Comfort.
But it was Southern Comfort. I drank it at Southern Comfort at a party in high school, and I just remember waking up on the front lawn and spinning and just sitting there going.
It's so sweet that it's like a hangover in a bottle.
Right.
And to this day, it takes me back to that moment. And
if you smell it, you're just like, oh no.
Like I'm at the point now where I feel like I can get back on the horse and drink my way through anything. And but there definitely is I think a point in your life between maybe 18 and 25 where you can ruin a drink for you for the rest of your life. I think I did that with gin. I think you did that with tequila.
Parker and I are drinking tequila, and it's been years. But when Andrew and I met each other at NYU, we used to do this thing where we just get together and drink one bottle of whatever, and then go out.
Champagne.
and champagne. I failed my final the other day. More champagne.
We're going to a friend's memorial.
Who's got the Dom Perignon?
But at like 19 years old, I had never had tequila. And Andrew was like, "Oh yeah, let's fix some tequila tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking man."
I'm a fucking man.
Next thing I know,
some of you guys aren't in NYU, but you're down in Gainesville, Florida. Is that what just happened there?
I have a mortgage and a car payment. I'm a fucking man. Give me some tequila.
Come at me. I'm 40. But yeah, by the end of the night, I was inside out having dry heaves. It was fucking.
But you're
horrible.
still drinking it now. I mean, but
that was a long time ago.
I know, but
I'm in therapy.
To this day, I cannot smell Southern Comfort without getting the gag reflex.
I would never drink Southern Comfort now. I used to think it was great. Like, this is nice and sweet, but it's like drinking like fucking like hot damn cinnamon schnapps.
Well, dude, what about Fireball? I mean, Fireball's sweeping the nation.
What is going on with Fireball? Everybody's like,
it's for girls. It's for little girls, like basically.
They have Fireball on tap. I was like, really? Do you need to have Fireball on tap?
It tastes like candy. It makes date raping easier. I think that it's just. I don't know.
This is unproven.
Yeah, yes, all Fireball.
Oh no, trust me. I could put a USA Today graph together in about 10 minutes, showing you how my theories are correct, and I will include chemtrails.
Hashtag yes all women.
Yes all Slender Man. You want to take a break and then we'll come back and we'll finish up?
Yes. Fantastic.
All right, this is SFBarkast, and we'll be back from the Latin American Club.
Show some how. Show some how.
Having this great time at the Latin American Club,
but so much of it is unbroadcastable.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think it's all broadcastable. If you guys didn't worry about the man, and don't worry about ratings, and just go with your gut.
So
man.
if we have to make a list of things we have to worry about, it's the man,
right?
Chemtrails,
9/11,
Slender Man, 9/11,
and weight gain and not being attractive anymore.
Weight gain,
horse racing,
absolutely, and cramping up during the NBA Finals.
Ooh. That is a clever segue.
LeBron Gate.
So let me just give you my interpretation of what happened. So LeBron James cramped up in Game 1 and didn't play the last 4 minutes, and his team lost. Everybody was giving him shit. Now, I am not a LeBron fan, but it makes me want to be a LeBron fan because all these people who are giving him shit for basically having an injury and not finishing the game, it's like, fuck those people.
What do you think that the Venn diagram looks like of people that think that LeBron James is a pussy because he had a leg cramp?
Guy living in mom's basement.
And then the guy that thought that a Bergdahl or like that abandoned his post and is a fucking traitor to the whole world.
Oh, the lone survivor guy.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy too. Well,
I'm saying that there's a definite overlap there. People that are like, man, fuck that guy. I could play basketball as well as him. And the idea of the whole lone survivor thing.
Andrew, you're right. Because after the LeBron story came out, there were people on Facebook posting these pictures where it's LeBron James, it's too hot to have a cramp, and then they show a picture of these U.S. soldiers in the Middle East. And they're like, oh, that's cute, right? Well, guess what? If I want to win a basketball game, I'll take LeBron James with his fucking cramp. If I want to invade a country and murder and rape children, I'll take the fucking Marines. So you know what? I bet some of those Marines they cramped up when they were murdering and raping in Iraq.
I think that you're not giving.
If I could just say right now, USA, USA, USA.
I think you're not giving. I don't think you're giving LeBron James enough credit for being able to rape and kill people. I think he can do that really well.
Yeah, but can those guys hit a 3-point shot?
Absolutely not.
So I think we know who the winner is here.
I think what it is, I think that people like LeBron James, they put themselves. I mean, you always forget about how young these people are too, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
Like he's a guy in his 20s.
Yeah, he's
I
in
mean,
his
it's nuts.
like, late 20s.
For the most part, we fucking hate everybody in their 20s. They're horrible people.
As a rule.
They haven't figured shit out. I mean, and I mean, think about it. Like all of our great pop stars, everything. You know, are people. You know, the truly unique people kind of separate themselves from the pack in their early 20s. It just kind of happens like that.
Right.
Speaking of Zuckerberg.
Speaking of Bieber.
Yeah, Beaver. God love that little racist. So,
Mark Zuckerberg.
You know
what
what's
I'm
great?
saying is, it's always
Canadian
amazing
racist.
to me. And I watched the LeBron James, interview the other night, and he's like, he goes, "We're not talking about that. They were asking about him crapping him. He's like, it's not part of the thing. Well, the whole time he's doing it, he's wearing King James wristbands. He's like, this is, not talking about my legacy, but it's like, okay, if you're going to put yourself out here, this is why everybody's going to be taking shots at you. And I get it.
True, yeah.
And I truly believe that guy. I mean. Here's all I got to say. It finally made this series interesting because I could give a shit otherwise. But now it seems like now there's this thing, and thank God we've had 9 days to take care of it and to think about it. Well, they played like 2 months ago, and now there's that. I don't even know.
After game 2, like we all get put into like suspended animation for 6 months before they play like game 3.
We should be because
It doesn't make no sense because there's not a travel day. Game 1 is in San Antonio. Game 2 is in San
you're just
Antonio.
making people
they have
hang
like
out in
2
San
days off
Antonio,
in
which
between.
Game 1 was
cruel and
Thursday.
unusual.
Game 2 is Sunday. Then the next game is on Tuesday. Back in now they go to
in Miami.
They go to Miami.
I could
Which
actually
is
see
what, like a 1.5 hour flight.
It's I don't
anyway? Like, who
I mean
fucking
I
cares?
get it. I understand the TV revenues, but that every time you turn on SportsCenter and any of these things, the whole lead is LeBron's cramps. And I was just wondering what was going to happen if it wasn't LeBron doing that. What was it going to be? How are they going to take 4 or 5 days, like
coming at you.
filling up other stories?
LeBron. The LeBron cramps thing is. Do we call it the cramps?
The
Cramps.
You know what? Like everybody was like coming
The
up with like
worst French Cramps cover band ever.
everybody was coming up with really bad like puns for like the LeBron cramps like story, but nobody used the cramps music.
Because do you think any of these people know?
Do you think anybody in Bristol, Connecticut is into like let's get fucked up?
How about this?
Maybe
When
if, like,
LeBron goes down and his team comes up. You could do. I could write a million cramp songs to it. But it's
You
funny
get,
to me.
like,
It's exactly what
Paramore
you
to
said.
cover it.
It's exactly what you said. How I'm kind of rooting for him right now.
Yeah.
Because I think the guy. I don't think the guy's done anything wrong. I mean, he's been to the championship game 3 years in a row.
Right.
Is it 3 years in a row? He lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's won
Yeah.
2 in a row.
Well, he's
maybe
won
3 in a
2
row.
and he lost that
This
one.
is the fourth championship he's been in a row. 'Cause
Wow.
He lost the first one. Now this is the third one. And he's like
He went to one with Cleveland. That Cleveland team might well have been like the worst team ever to make it to the championship game.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Who was even on that team?
Anderson,
Elo?
Anderson Varejao, Boogie Gibson,
Boogie Gibson? Are you serious?
a Booby Gibson,
A Booby Gibson.
Like who else?
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams. Yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, the team was terrible.
I want to say like it's a crapshoot between that team or like the Allen Iverson 2001 team.
Yeah, the Philly
Like,
team.
Jesus Christ.
Although like Iverson had Mutombo on that team.
And like Derek McKee.
Yeah, they had like Larry Hughes.
God, Larry Hughes.
Hughes.
All right, so Parker, Andrew, what is your final analysis, Phil Giwanu, of this bar?
I'll let you go first, Parker.
My analysis of this bar is this. It's one of the last bars in San Francisco that still remains true to what they are about. You come in here, you're going to get attitude. You won't always get attitude. You come in here, you be nice to the bartenders. They're going to treat you with respect.
You know, I'm going to let me just say this. Like, it's not like Zeitgeist, though. Like, people will go to the Zeitgeist to get treated like shit. It's
Yeah.
not like that here. Like,
No.
you will not get treated like shit unless
You
you
earn
treat
it.
them like shit.
You get everybody in here from, you get people from across the board, and I've been in San Francisco long enough where I'm not going to call people out on what they do for a living. I could give a shit. Go into a bar, treat people with respect, be cool. You're gonna have a good experience. I mean, that's what going out to bars is about. You go in, you meet somebody you never thought you'd talk to in the past. You may possibly end up killing them.
Right,
Who
exactly.
knows?
Yeah, maybe
Things
you'll-
go south fast.
Maybe you'll go home with that person and make sweet anonymous love.
But I could
or
say-
you'll end up with a dead body in your trunk.
Exactly.
But at least you know that the death certificate will magically transform its way to the
They have a
walls
great
and
beer
freak everybody
selection.
out.
The drinks are incredibly strong. You don't have to
Incredibly
wait for
strong.
5. Don't come in here if you're going to order something to be muddled. That's a word that they don't understand. They all went to Heald College, and none of them understand this.
I hate going to like those bars where it's like it takes like 10 minutes for them to make a drink because they're like crushing up everything.
Right,
It's
like
if
we've
you're a
covered
beer
this
drinker,
before,
like
where there's this weird like disconnect that people have between thinking that a drink is good and seeing it that it took like a really long time to make.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want my bartender to be like this stressed out mess that like takes 10 minutes to make a drink, because then I just feel like shit ordering anything. And it's like, and if they know what they're doing, it's one thing. But if they're just like a fucking hurricane of like arms and legs and you just feel like an asshole for even paying $15 for a drink.
Well, also I think this place teaches you how to just be a good fucking bar patron. You go in, you order a drink. If you don't tip, you're going to be called out on it, and you should tip.
Well,
I don't know who the people are.
Call people out on that.
But I don't know who the people are who don't tip.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who don't, and I don't want to point fingers at like this whole new,
Why are you pointing at me?
This. Listen,
I think he just needs the white race.
let me do it with my beer in my hand to make the point more furious. But what happens is that a lot of stuff that you hear about from my friends who work here is like you get a lot of people who come from across the pond, so to speak. And if you go over there, you don't tip.
Well, it's true. Yeah.
Oh,
But-
you mean English people?
Yeah, but
just Europeans in
but
general.
you know what? Let me tell you something. Anytime I travel, I tip, and you know what? They fucking love it. Like I've never given anybody money and they've gone, no, this is not what we're about.
Imagine that, Parker. You're like, here's some extra money. They're like, how dare you?
Yeah, exactly. If you're in Greece, they're just passing it off to their 13-year-old girlfriend so they can have more kids.
You're in a truck stop men's room in Athens.
Exactly.
And you're just like, here's
So-
a little extra for you.
If I could sum it up, I think this is one of the. I like the fact that this bar is never kind of written up as like being a great dive bar or being a great bar at all, because I think it's still kind of a hidden bar. This bar is busy night after night. You can come in here and meet. You can meet interesting people. A lot of great musicians and artists from around the Mission come here, and it's a cool place. It's a go-to bar for me.
Totally.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
What about you?
That sounds good to me.
Andrew's like, fuck this bar.
You know what? I gotta get him to take down the sign "No Blacks or Jews," because I think it is.
That is a little.
I think
over
it
the
could
top.
be
I mean,
dealing with a lot of people who aren't coming in here.
Let's not go crazy.
They already called it the Latin American
Let's
Club.
not go crazy.
What
Should
are
we
the
keep it up? Is that what
minorities?
you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, what, the minorities want something else other than to be called Latin American Club? I mean, like, we already gave them that. So.
Exactly. I know. What was it? What was that Yelp review you read? Like the person who was talking, it was like a
horrified.
champion of the people, but then they went out of their way to say I couldn't tell if the bartender was black or white.
Well, there was another one too. Like, there was somebody like that A was not Latino, and like B was like, I saw like like one of the tchotchkes they had hanging from the wall was a noose. How horrifying that they would like hang a noose like. And call a place the Latin American Club a proud people who have been oppressed and it was just like,
I'm like, do you have
really? Oh my God!
Like all I can think of is like that person has a very strong connection between nooses and Latin American people. I've been in here a million times. I've seen that. I've never thought like, oh yeah, let's string up like a Mexican.
Like this guy like practically stood up like fucking Lincoln style, like how dare you, sir?
How dare you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been in here forever. I just looked over my shoulder and saw that news. I assumed it was for the blacks, not for the Latinos.
It's not called the African American.
It should
Club.
be for the white people, because the white people are the fucking worst. So let's just be honest here.
Oh, so now you're going to say Latin Americans can't be racist towards black people? How racist of you?
I don't think blacks or Latin Americans can be racist because they've been oppressed for so many years. It's about our people. And here's a funny story about chemtrails I want to go into with you guys.
It all like wraps into like the Mormon Church.
Here's the deal.
This could be like the springboard to like to your own podcast about chemtrails.
Let me
and
tell you what
mine
the deal
about
is. The
9/11.
deal is this: if you come into a fucking bar and you get upset about a noose behind the bar that doesn't have anything to do with anything, especially when you see all the postcards, velvet paintings, all this other shit, if you turn that into something that is some sort of political statement, you're a fucking idiot. And the only reason you're doing that is because you didn't tip, or you didn't do something and the bartender treated you bad. Because the people who work here don't treat people bad unless you do something to be a dick move. And just don't be dicks. Just whatever bar you go to, be a good person. order drinks, respect what the bartender's doing. Figure out how you're doing stuff, but don't go in there with a sense of entitlement. And I swear to God, I don't care if you're from a country who doesn't tip. When you're in America, tip. If you work for if you make tons of money and you don't really understand the concept of tipping, there's plenty of things online that you can go to look it up. So
we live in an information age.
We really do. Bartenders respond to you treating them well, and that's it.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
You should have a sign out front, kind of like that sign, like that Notre Dame football has when they're going to play games. Just play like a champion, like right in front. It just says, should say, like, "Don't be a dick." Latin American Club.
Right. Is that the sign that Rudy jumped up and touched?
I've never seen Rudy.
Common fucking sense.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I've never seen Rudy. How the hell is?
Can we do a whole podcast about Rudy now?
I am a lifelong Notre Dame fan.
Oh, you know what? Speaking
But
of
you've
which,
never seen Rudy.
I've never seen Rudy because I don't want to watch an entire movie about a kid that fucking played one down for the Notre Dame. I want to see the movie about them winning the national championship.
This actually perfectly segues into something that one of our listeners, Robert
Zachary?
No, a different Robert. No, yeah, Robert Zachary.
Bob Z.
Why'd you have to call me out on his last name? Now,
Bobby Z.
Now it makes us look like we only have one Robert that listens. But anyway, he told us to put our money where our mouth is from the Urban Putt episode and make our own episode about sports movies. So we now have that to do. So I just want to
That's cool. We got the
I
World
put
Cup
that
coming
out
up.
there that we have to do that at some point.
You know what? You and I were going to write a book one time about the greatest sports movies of all time.
Yeah, now
but
we
then
can do a half-assed
What's the
podcast
greatest
about
Alex English basketball movie?
It's Amazing Grace and Chuck.
What about the Fish that St. Pittsburgh?
That would be
Alex-
Dr. J.
Was Alex English in
Amazing Grace and Chuck? Yeah, yes, he was.
No, Fish and St. Pittsburgh.
Andrew and I were going to write a book about the greatest sports movies of all time, but then we got too drunk.
But then I never saw Rudy. Then I saw Rudy, and I just masturbated.
But the great thing about when we were throwing this idea around is that we both agreed. Okay, on number one, the greatest sports movie of all time, it was we just worked back from
On
Caddyshack.
any given Sunday.
We worked back from Caddyshack.
Back from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Caddyshack's the greatest sports movie of all
That's how
time.
you. Caddyshack is a great movie, but I don't know if it's the greatest sports movie.
Yeah, but sports, all those sports movies where they win the championship at the end and it's all this redemption. Fuck that noise. Nobody wants to see that shit. We want to see
You guys have to come up. You have to come up with a
Rocky.
criteria for how you gauge what it is to be a sports movie.
You want to see Rocky when he loses. You want to see Slapshot. You want to see.
I would say Slapshot would be the greatest.
I'm still going to go with Caddyshack because it's all about. It's not really even about golf, which is a stupid sport.
I'm not going to give away any of my opinions until I've had a chance to mull them over and put them in a non-controversial format.
Most of them are from the ESPN series 30 for 30.
I love 30 for 30.
Have you seen the two Escobars?
Fuck yeah.
That's great.
That's one of the
mentioned
greatest
it last
fucking things
show.
I've ever seen in
We
my
mentioned it
life.
last year. Oh, so okay.
Oh, you mentioned it last year?
I'm
Oh,
sorry, not
sorry.
last year. We mentioned it last.
Sorry. Spoiler alert. He dies.
I thought we told you not to mention anything that's happened in the last 2 years.
Parker, do you have a World Cup team?
Do I have a World Cup team?
Yeah, are you gonna watch the World Cup?
De La Salle.
Yeah, that's
Super
a
fan.
local high
From
school
the country of LaSalle.
So we had our World Cup preview last week, and I had to choose my World Cup team. And you know who I chose?
Who'd you chosen? Who you chosen, yo?
Colombia. You know why? Because their soccer is pure and uncut.
Hell yeah!
Please visit Colombia on your next tourist vacation.
I chose Belgium because I like chocolate.
You like waffles.
I chose, what's that team from Africa? Ghana?
They are from Africa, yes.
Gonorrhea.
Whoever's going to bring AIDS to the whole thing is going to win.
Oh, yeah. I'd say that's a close call between Ivory Coast maybe. Or
Cameroon.
Cameroon has a lot of AIDS.
Can't trust those filthy Cameroonians.
Well, no, listen, it may sound totally,
This may sound a little
Can't believe he
controversial
said that. Can't believe he said that.
joke.
But I've never seen so many sexual references during the World Cup thing. Okay, the coach of the Brazilian team is not allowing his players to have sex.
That is absolutely absurd because A,
never gonna
you're
work.
in Brazil, and B,
Sorry.
you're on the Brazilian team.
And also, if you're Brazilian, you can't have sex without putting your pants on. Why do you think they'll have kids by the time they're 11?
And on that note,
yeah, and I was gonna make some.
oh, go ahead.
What's the name of their parties down there? Favelas.
The favelas? You mean like-
Favelas?
well, you mean the places where they live?
Oh, whatever.
Or would you,
Those parties. What are those slum shacks called that they party in?
I
oh,
saw-
Yeah, the
or were you thinking of like
favelas.
Parker, don't tell me. I saw City of God twice.
Have you seen Pacheto?
No.
Oh, it's one of the greatest Brazilian movies ever. You have to rent that movie.
Really?
Yes, if I can leave you my listeners with anything. And they are my listeners at this point.
so
Pacheto. It's Paxeto because they pronounce the X
All
like
right.
an
So
S.
if any of our listeners want to see a good movie, go see Prosciutto.
prosciutto and go see
Story of a lovable boy with a nose that grows
see,
two sides the size of his head.
that movie about Notre Dame football, Rudyard or whatever it's called.
All right, you know what? I think we have to wrap it up because this is the beautiful part of the podcast where I'm just like sloppy drunk.
This is the beautiful part where we
Do you guys
want
ever somebody do this?
where we want to keep going.
Hey,
and,
I'll
like,
wrap it up if you guys can get me out of here.
Oh
Oh,
wait,
you think you got the balls to get me out of here? I don't think you do.
Well, strap in, listeners.
this is where we should have like that sound effect with like the horn, like dun, dun. Oh, here's my ride.
You need air horns are good for anything, man. Just,
Yeah, we can get it sponsored by Uber or something like that.
do you guys
Oh,
have
yeah.
a sponsor yet?
But, like your Uber is.
I'll
here.
get you a sponsor.
We don't want to sell out to the man. Chemtrails.
Let's do a local sponsor.
Sure, you want to get us a sponsor.
Yeah,
You and your fucking
You're just
chemtrails.
gonna like sponsor like your birthday parties and stuff like that.
We'll get a sponsor.
Since it's called Barkast, I think we should get the SPCA.
Yeah,
Oh.
but what if they accidentally slip up and listen to it?
No.
They're gonna sue everybody.
You're like, yeah, it's a dumb idea. All right, you ready to wrap this up?
Sure.
Parker Gibbs, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fantastic. It was enlightening. I'm glad we got to shed light on the fantastic Latin American Club. And you guys continue to do God's work. You guys are fantastic people.
And
It's true.
do
It's
you
all
have-
true.
And I know you have a plug. Your plug is,
Parker's birthday. It's not Parker's or
Parker's
Lose.
birthday.
It's not a big over-the-top thing. It's
and it's going to be at the Makeout.
yeah. It's the Makeout Room. It's June 15th, the day before my birthday. 3 fantastic bands: Michael Beach Band with special guests, the Once and Future Band with special guests, and Kelly Stoltz. And it's
Oh,
gonna
so
be
what are the
fantastic.
3 fantastic bands then?
Hello.
Any upcoming DJ Food Court appearances?
DJ Food Court. The next DJ Food Court is July 3rd, and I also have 3 great bands playing at that with Swiftums. Have you ever seen Swiftums?
No.
Fucking amazing. Dirty Ghosts, who are
I've heard of them.
they're
Yep.
fantastic. And Sonny Smith headlining, and it's the day before the 4th, so nobody has to go to work. And I will be playing. DJ
so
Food
fuck
Court
you
is
and
going to
your
give you
excuses for not
a
going.
full-blown red, white, and blue DJ set. It's going to be nothing but Skinnerd to Skinnerd. Maybe a little Pat Travers.
Wow. Little Lee Greenwood.
Meth will be
mixed in
free
there.
that night. There'll be meth, and there'll be Strawberry Ripple. So Boone's Farm is sponsoring the event.
Champagne from wall-to-wall champagne. Andrew, do you have
Champagne and Ripple.
Andrew, do you have any like plugs?
No, I mean, like the new season of Orange is the New Black came out. That's pretty good. But
That's
compared to like like fucking Seeger and like fucking DJs, like that's nothing.
All right, do you have any questions for me?
I don't know. Do I? Should I?
All right, I my only plug is do yourself a favor and find out your own special relationship with Slender Man.
I will.
And also,
Slender Man,
If Slender
hope
Man-
you can come to my gig. Slender Man, I hope you can.
and Slender Man,
Slender Man.
and Slender Man, if you're listening, we want to have you as a guest on the show. We will
please.
fly you from whatever like dirt pile you live in.
The forest.
And we'll find a better place to kill a 12-year-old.
I think that's the best way to like sign off.
Damn straight. I signed
All
on
right.
that.
This is SFBarkast.
Thanks, you guys.
We'll see you next time. Thank you, Parker.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.